All right. Welcome to another edition of Mike Talks, the second of 2021. And I'm so excited to have this guy on the show. It is Brendan Dando, the mastermind of the Four Finger Discount brand, which has gone from height to height over the past 6 or 7 years. How are you, man?
Yeah, I'm pretty good, thanks. Yeah, 6 years in May. It's crazy. I wouldn't say I'm a mastermind of any kind. I'm just Simpsons nerd.
Well, you've always been very humble about the success of Four Finger Discount, because I first had you on my community radio show in 2016.
The Yellow Family, right?
The Yellow Family, which nowadays I'm not sure if you could name a show The Yellow Family. What do you think?
Probably not. Depends who's no, let's just not go there. I think we should just avoid that situation.
We'll just avoid that
together. Be like the Simpsons, just approved, gone. Bye-bye.
But I remember that would have been 5 years ago. You came on our radio show with my mate Tom, and at that time you said no one has ever cared. You're the first people to ever care about us and our show. I distinctly remember that.
Well, literally, you were the first people to ever contact us for an interview, and I always say the first episode we ever put up had 13 downloads. And I remember Mitch, who I don't do the show Mitch anymore, but I do it with Guy now, who's an absolute legend as well. But back in the day, Mitch was like, yeah, if we keep getting 13 downloads, I ain't doing this anymore. I'm like, just stick at it, man. Just stick at it. It's fine. And now we've had close to 4 million downloads. So it's great.
Yeah. So let's take it back to the start. For people who don't know, Dando and Mitch, now Guy, but Dando and Mitch started Four Finger Discount, a Simpsons podcast from Geelong. And you now have, as you said, 4 million downloads and listeners all over the world. What made you want to do this? What made you want to start Four Finger Discount?
Well, I was always a big fan of just podcasting in general. And then I got hooked on a few, I think it was like Talking Bad, just ones that Chris Hardwick does, the sort of the after show podcast. And I looked for Simpsons ones because, I'm a massive Simpsons fan. And there was a couple. One of them was not very good. One of them was okay, but I sort of thought, if I did the show, I'd probably do it like this. I'd probably do it like that. And the problem was I never really had a friend of mine who was an avid Simpsons fan like myself, who still watched The Simpsons. And then I met Mitch just through chance, and he wanted to do a podcast as well. So I said, do you like The Simpsons? He said, sure. So I just wanted to do a Simpsons podcast that I felt Simpsons fans would enjoy. And I think that might be what we're doing. I don't know. But I enjoy doing the show. That's all that matters. So.
Yeah, awesome. And you don't just do Simpsons, you have now expanded into an incredible repertoire of TV related podcasts. You're Talking Seinfeld, Tales of Futurama. I only just found out there's a Take It Like a Mandalorian, which is such a great title.
Thank God for that.
Okay, yeah. Do you intend on just doing a podcast about every TV show ever made?
That's the goal, yeah, pretty much, yeah. Just nostalgia feel. So basically, you've got a scoop. So we're about to launch a new podcast in about 3 weeks.
Yeah.
Called Talking Muppets. So
cool.
Growing up, before The Simpsons, it was the Muppets for me, because you'd be aware I wasn't allowed to watch The Simpsons until I was about 6.
Yeah,
so
you've spoken about
Simpsons, it. Because my mum's famous band.
Didn't you try to kill your sister with a knife when you saw the Treehouse of Horror?
I never tried to kill her, just threaten her. But yeah, so the Treehouse of Horror 1, when the house possesses the family, I copied Maggie. I went into the kitchen and got a knife out of the drawer. Mum went, well, guess what? You're not watching anymore, buddy. The Simpsons. So I was banned until...
So you were allowed to watch it, and then you got banned and you weren't allowed to watch it.
So I was allowed to watch it because Mum didn't know none the wiser. And then she just saw her, 3 or 4 year old walking into the kitchen to get a knife out of the drawer, went, what's going on here? Saw the Simpsons doing it on TV and went, bye-bye Simpsons. But yeah, so the Muppets were a big... they were my first love, the Muppets. If you see photos of me when I was a little kid, I've always got a Muppet toy with me. Just Muppets.
Yeah.
And last year, I think if you listen to the show, be aware my nan Marlene passed away last year. And I think because of COVID and everything, I never really had a chance to grieve. And it's been weird because Nan was one of my biggest supporters. And growing up, she watching the Muppets, we'd always watch the Muppets at her place. And when I saw that Disney were going to be putting the Muppet Show, the original Muppet Show on Disney Plus, I thought, well, this might be cool. I've always wanted to do a Muppet podcast. And now that I've got access to it, I can do the show. And also, as a result, watch it and kind of relive and rekindle that memory of being at my nan's place and sort of help grieve the loss of my nan. So that's, I'm really looking forward to Talking Muppets. I think it'll be something special. We're going to review all the old Muppet shows, Muppet movies, anything Muppet related. So it can also be Dinosaurs, the show they just put on Disney Plus as well.
Yeah, I've seen it. Yeah, I've seen it being recommended. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. So we're going to review that as well. So anything basically Jim Henson, under the Jim Henson banner, will be on Talking Muppets. Yeah.
Oh, great, man. I think that's really, really cool what you said, because I think that speaks to a lot of the ethos of what even Four Finger Discount was about, which was like, The Simpsons is such this treasured thing that we all loved from our youth, but it just remains relevant and continues developing into adulthood. And I've always
Yeah.
loved that about The Simpsons, and of course Futurama as well. So I think, that's really, I really loved what you just said about that. I think that's great about the Muppets, and I'm looking forward to. I haven't seen the Muppets, so I might do a watch along and then listen to the pod while
Do it. Yeah.
watching.
Yeah. Because yeah. Anyway.
You're obviously a pop culture nut, and I've like it's very clear if people are watching the video version of this, that's an Iron Giant statue in the background, right? Yeah, the Brad Bird Iron Giant, which is really cool.
This is his head. So if you touch his little head there, not sure if you can see it, but you can't really see it. His eyes light up.
Oh, his eyes light up. Oh my god!
So I have to try and make sure Elliot, my little kid, doesn't get anywhere near this desk, because when we do the Nerd Daddy channel, he sits on the desk. So I'm constantly in the back of my mind going, "Don't look over the statue."
What do you reckon was your, like? I'm sure The Simpsons fits into this, but tell me about your history of like pop culture. What did you like Muppets, obviously Simpsons, but like, what are your memories growing up of loving different pop culture artifacts?
Well, I remember Muppets were the first thing I can remember. That's my earliest memory, Muppets. I was mad on Muppets. And then I think because of the Muppets, I saw Star Wars Empire Strikes Back on TV and saw Yoda. I went, he looks like a Muppet. And I think that's where my love of Star Wars generated. And I've got an uncle named Uncle Darren, who he's a massive geek like myself. And I think I just sort of spent a lot of time with him, and he was just like the older brother I never had, basically, you know what I mean? And he just got me into all the different Star Wars. And then because I was banned from watching The Simpsons, I've said, I think once I was allowed to watch it, I just went nuts on it, because I wasn't allowed to watch it for 6 years, and it's become like a hardcore fan. But I used to collect things like the Tarzos and the Pogs. Just when I was a kid, I loved collecting things. I think that's where my love of pop culture came, just collecting stuff. Yeah, Tarzos and Pogs, yeah.
I was going back listening to some of your earlier podcasts this week, and I just listened to the Bart sells his soul one with the, remember Alf? He's back in Park Form.
Yeah, that's the thing about The Simpsons, is there's so many of the older episodes now. They're just so quotable still today. It's still so relevant, you know?
What are your thoughts on The Simpsons now? Because I don't think I don't watch even old episodes of The Simpsons very much now, right? Not that I don't want to, it's just like a time thing. Like, I prefer to watch something new, but I still have all these memories of them. And then I feel like there's this culture of re-experiencing classic things like The Simpsons through like your podcast or memes or like remix culture, and creating new ways of consuming these old things without having to just sit there and watch the 20 minutes. Like, what do you think about that?
Well, I just think the reason I started Four Finger Discount was because of that, because I felt like The Simpsons were still alive, but it was more so through meme form. Like, people weren't really sort of watching the episodes anymore, like you said, because it sort of feels like a chore now to have to go out of your way to sit down and watch something where you can just sort of flick through memes. But I sort of thought I wanted to start this show because there's something about sitting down and actually watching something from your childhood. It sort of rekindles those memories. Every time I watch an episode, I feel like every episode of The Simpsons, I've got a memory of watching it, whether it be with my younger sister or with my old man, that kind of thing. I think it's really important. I saw a meme actually the other day where people it's sort of therapeutic, because people who have anxiety like to re-watch shows because they know how it's going to end. And they won't start a new show with the fear of not knowing where it's going to go. So I think maybe I have slight anxiety. I'm like, well, I know this has a happy ending. I'll just watch this show.
Unless you're watching like the one with Homer's mum or something like that.
Oh yeah. Stop it before it ends. Yes.
Yeah.
What's one of your favorite Simpsons endings? You personally?
Oh, great question, man. I mean, and Maggie Makes 3 is such a good one with the reveal at the end. I don't know.
Like a father, yeah.
Oh yeah, I bet. And I want to ask you a bit about that later, but also like, I think it's always been the jerkers for me have always been Futurama, like Jurassic Park with the dog, and Luck of the Irish, which I just think is such an incredible episode of any television series. But yeah, Simpsons wise, and Maggie Makes 3 is really good. My one of my favorite episodes, two of my favorite episodes outside of the Golden Age are Behind the Laughter, which I just think is genius.
So funny. I didn't really funny. A lot of the later episodes when I was a kid, like Behind the Laughter, I didn't really get it when I was younger. I
Right.
didn't
Yeah.
understand what they were going for. But going back and we did the review about a season or so ago.
Yeah. I
And
heard
man,
it.
it was one of my favorite episodes. It was so
Yeah.
funny.
I reckon that episode, it's the last step of season 11 of The Simpsons, and it's just bang, bang, bang. Like almost every line is a joke, and even those like cutaways where it's like coming up after the break, I thought the cop was a prostitute. Like just all, yeah, yeah, all of those things, and then so I love that. I love the satire in that episode and the meta, like fourth wall breaking aspect of it, and then. One that I've always held really close to my heart is Barding Over, which is the one with Tony Hawk and Blink 182. I think I just think Tony Hawk just does such a great role, just such a great job in that episode.
Yeah. And that was when Tony Hawk was still like, he was like the thing at the time. You know what I mean?
Yeah. It was like
growing up for me, it was like Michael Jordan was like the big one. I'm surprised they never really got Michael Jordan on The Simpsons. That would have been cool. But
especially Tony Hawk during Space Jam and stuff.
Yeah. Do you know Space Jam 2 was supposed to be Skate Jam with Tony Hawk?
Are you serious?
Yeah, that would have been rad, hey?
Skate Jam would have been awesome, but I don't know if Tony Hawk can act.
Can Michael Jordan act though?
Yeah.
I think it matters.
But I thought Barding Over was good, and I love the bit where Blink 182 are playing, and he's just like, "Hey, Blink 182, turn it up," and they're just like, we have individual names as well.
It's the epitome of like 2002, isn't it?
Yeah,
182 and Tony Hawk.
Yeah, exactly. Just that skate punk kind of culture that was really cool. What about you? Do you have any favorite Simpsons eps outside of the Golden Age?
One that I really liked, because we just finished season 12, and we just did our top 10 episodes of season 12. And one that I'd completely forgotten about it's called Worst Episode Ever, ironically. It's not the worst episode ever. It's the one where Bart and Milhouse are running the comic book shop while the comic book guy falls in love with Agnes. That caught me off guard, how much I really enjoyed that. And I was really disappointed that the relationship with Agnes and comic book guy ended at the end of that episode, because they were just such smarmy smartasses to people around them. I was like, you're like my spirit people, you know what I mean? Like, just sitting there judging people. Don't
they like? Isn't there like an adults only section of the comic book store or something like that?
Bart finds it, but they have a little tussle and they fall through the wall and find it, and they start letting kids come in for like $5 a piece. Yeah, it's great. It's a really good episode.
What have you found now moving into like season 12, which again is outside of the Golden Age, which I always do in inverted commas? Like, what have you found? Because you go to like say seasons 4 to 8 and it's just like banger after banger. Like there's almost no bad episodes. And then seasons
even
12
bad is good.
Yeah. Seasons like 11 through to where, 30 or 31, wherever it's up to, everyone sort of just tends to hate. What have you found just rewatching every episode? What are your thoughts?
I'm not going to lie, I was a little nervous once we sort of left that season 10 era. I sort of thought, oh, people are going to still want to listen. And the listenership's still going up, thank God. But
yeah, great.
I remember I stopped watching The Simpsons around about season 12 religiously. I used to watch it every time it was coming out, new episode. And we got to season 12 and, next week's episode is going to be about this. And I went, I don't actually even remember watching that one, So I think it's been good because it's sort of like a chance to go back and revisit these episodes where at the time we mightn't have thought they were very good. But I reckon there was only about 3 to maybe 5, maybe like 3 episodes that were pretty bad in season 12. The rest are really good. I was really surprised by how much I enjoyed season 12. When people say that the golden era ended in like season 9, I can see your point, but there's still some really great writing after that. I think about season 16, 17 is when it sort of goes off the rails a little bit, but that's because they were overworked because of the Simpsons movie at the same time.
Yeah.
When it was a bit thin.
I remember I think I was watching new episodes till like season 20, and I remember season 20 being pretty bad.
Yeah. But when it goes widescreen, that's just like, okay, this is the new era,
It's changed, yeah. And it does really feel different now with like all the characters having mobile phones and them doing like satire of like current day things like Facebook and things like that. You interviewed you do some great interviews on your pod. Like you did Billy West, voice of Fry, and other characters. You did Harry Shearer as well, didn't you?
Yeah, he was our first interview. I couldn't believe it.
Yeah, and that was great. And but you've also, what I really like is you've done a lot of interviews with behind the scenes people who have written on The Simpsons. Have you? And one of them, is it Nikki Azordia, who's the current like art? What is she? Is she like a story
supervisor?
Production supervisor, which sounds
Yeah,
like
so
a
she
very
runs, she
serious
basically
role.
runs the animation department. Yeah.
Yeah. And I remember you asked her about this very thing where you were like, do you think The Simpsons is like, do you think it's like a bad show? Like, what are your thoughts on that? And she said,
Yeah.
well, it's not made for the same audience, but if it was a bad show, then I wouldn't have a job. Like, I
Yeah.
really liked the way she put it into perspective like
Yeah,
that.
it's kind of like the new Star Wars films. I mean, at first when I watched them, I was sort of went, oh, I don't like these. This is not what I remember, blah, blah, blah. But then I had to realize it's not really made for me anymore. It's made for my son's generation to appreciate it. You know what I mean? So these new Simpsons episodes are for 8-year-olds now, not me who being 32 anymore. You know what I mean? I can still watch it and enjoy it, but they have it with kids. It's a kid's show at heart. You know what I mean? So it's made for kids. And I know a lot of kids that enjoy the new episodes and go, cool, they must be doing something, right?
What are your thoughts on like your nostalgia towards The Simpsons, which is obviously really, really high? Do you ever go back and watch the like? Do you ever watch the old episodes now and you're just like, oh, this isn't as good as I remember?
No, actually, I think it's because of that nostalgia you said. Like literally, I know you said very high levels. This is how high it is. So the other day, I was in the garage with Elliot, and I pulled out my old VHS Crime and Punishment VHS from like 1997 of The Simpsons, and I have one of those old box TVs in the garage so I can play Duck Hunt and things like that. So I was literally watching like an episode from like 97 on an old box TV. I was like, this is about as my childhood as it can possibly get. And I don't know how we did it back in the day. Those TVs, man, they give you headaches and everything. But like the old episodes, I don't think there's many that I go back and watch and go, this isn't very good. No, I think those first 8 or so seasons are just some of the best television you'll ever see.
Yeah, I forgot one of my other favorite endings from before, which is the ending to it's a Millhouse Divided, the Can I Borrow a Feeling app. When
I'll be back, probably.
Like not a heartwarming ending or anything, just a really funny ending because it goes the opposite way to how you think it is. Like you think that Luann's going to be like, all right, Kirk, I'll take you back. But she's just like, exactly. No, I'm not taking you back. Like just because you came in here and sang a song to me, it does not mean that all our problems have changed.
Where if this was Full House, she would have, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So what I will say though is we've been revisiting the first season again, Guy and I.
Yeah.
I completely forgot they tackle things like suicide and depression so early in the series. I mean, Lisa, she's 8 years old, and there's the episode, I think it's episode 6, Moaning Lisa. Everyone should watch that episode. It is incredible.
Oh yeah. What happens in that one?
So that's where Lisa is just sad and everyone's sort of laughing at her. And it's still relevant today where people are still trying to work out and understand, anxiety and depression. And, like Marge has a spiel at the end where she goes, if you want to be sad, you be sad and we'll still be here for you. You know what I mean? It's still so relevant today. Like I said, Moaning Lisa, if there's ever an episode to go check out in season 1, it's that one. I could not have rated it higher. I thought it was so great.
It's funny
because the one where she meets Bleeding Gums Murphy for the first time.
Right. Because season 1 always does feel like another show, sort of. Like it's just this weird, like the animation's really creepy. Yeah, and like I feel like it would be good to go back and watch season 1 in general. I have to curveball, and this show this is called Mike Talk, so it's all about just curveballs and stuff, right? It should be called Mike Curveballs. But you mentioned Duck Hunt before. Which is a really niche reference to the Super Nintendo game that you play with a light gun. I'm assuming your love of pop culture expands outside of cartoons and TV shows and probably goes into games. Can you talk a little bit about your history playing games?
Well, it's funny, but I don't play games anymore. I mean, I stopped at like the PlayStation 3.
Your whole life is just living in the past. Your whole life. It's like, I do a Simpsons podcast. I play Duck Hunt.
I'm like, people miss things. How can I monetize this?
Weren't you like responsible for managing like the revival of Cheese TV?
I run the Facebook page.
That's your whole life. I'm not saying it's a bad thing. It's just your whole life is like, what did people like in the past? And so good. Sorry to interrupt you.
People don't like their life now. What do they like when they were kids? Okay, let's tap into that. Yeah.
But don't you think that speaks? And sorry, I'm curveballing again. Don't you think that speaks wonders about? Because even Hollywood's doing that now. Like, look at like Bill and Ted 3, the Star Wars, even like everything is just a nostalgia thing now.
Vinyl
Like,
even making a comeback.
yeah, exactly. Like, what are your thoughts on pop culture being, and we will get back to games. What are your thoughts on movies and stuff just capitalizing on stuff from the past?
It depends on what it is. Like, for example, I'm not huge on the Disney live action movies. I didn't mind the Aladdin one, but it's just like, all right, we're doing Mulan, we're doing all the other ones now. I'm just like, do we really need to do all that? But hey, they make like $1 billion each, so they obviously work. But I think we're at a point now, we're sort of at a crossroads where it goes, are we doing it too much now? Where's the creativity gone? Because I understand if you're in Hollywood though, and you just want to make a quick buck, if the story's already there and you don't have to write something new, then why wouldn't you just take that road?
Yeah.
But I think there is something though. There will come a point where people will just get sick of nostalgia. I know.
Yeah.
It just
South Park's kind of mocked that a bit as well. I'm not sure if you watch the new South Parks, but they've done.
I haven't seen the new, but they are a show that is managed to stay relevant because of the way it's made, obviously. But that show is just. I think South Park is almost up there with The Simpsons in that it's been on the air for 20 seasons now.
I think it's season 2021. Yeah.
I think it started like 97, 98, and it's still one of the funniest shows on television.
And it's so cutting edge in its satire because of how fast they turn it around. Like The Simpsons and like Family Guy and stuff were never really able to do the same level of topical satire because they take so long to do. Have you by any chance read the book or watched the film Ready Player One? Or do you know about it?
I've seen the film, yes.
Yeah, okay. So the book, in my opinion, the book is much better than the film. But like you might have really liked the film because the Iron Giant is in Ready Player One. Yeah. But the whole concept of that book/film is like essentially what we're talking about. Like it's just littered with nostalgic pop culture references, and that's the whole premise of it. And like some people in like critically assessing the book were like, oh, it's just such a good book. It's so good to revisit all these things. And then other people are like, the entire premise of this book is making money off your nostalgia and references. Yeah. And it's like, I think that's like when Star Wars Episode 7 came out and they showed the first trailer for it. And they like, I would have loved if they didn't reveal that Han Solo was in it. And like, you find out when you see.
They should not have. No.
Yeah. But like, I guess that whole thing was like, how do we make sure people come to this? I like put Han in the trailer, but like, it would have been so much better. Yeah. It would have been so much better if you just see Han in the movie when you see it and you're like, oh, cool. But yeah, they kind of ruined it.
Well, that's why I feel like they've learnt their lessons from those 3 films though. Like those 3 films, they've happened. Let's just move on, whatever. We don't have to go revisit them ever again. But I think they've learned their lesson because if you watch The Mandalorian, it's clear they've learned things like that. Like, can we spoil things on this or should we not?
Well, let's put a spoiler tag for Mandalorian here. So
okay.
I assume you're about to spoil the season 2 finale.
Yes. Okay. So
if
they
you don't
kept
want
that under wraps. I mean, I work at pop culture, right? So I know, like for example, when the film's coming out, I know all the characters are going to be in one division, for example, because I have to order in the products, right? So I have to do numbers on things. So we have to sort of say, yep, we're not going to reveal anything by the sign of things. Say, yep, we won't reveal anything. But when it came to Mandalorian, right, there was not one mention of Baby Yoda. Nothing at all.
Really? Okay.
So they kept that. So basically, and that show came out near Christmas. So they took the chance of, all right, we would much rather people be surprised by this and not have merch ready for Christmas than have it leaked out and then be able to sell stuff in time for Christmas. So they took a hit from the marketing side of things there, but how much better was the show for not knowing that Baby Yoda was going to be in it?
And then I guess the exact same thing applies to the season 2 finale. Like
exactly. Yeah. I mean, if that had came out beforehand, there's no way, because that moment to me was my favorite Star Wars moment in my lifetime. I thought that was just, it was so funny. So I'm sitting there, it's about 12:30 at night. I have to wait till the kids go to bed. Nick has gone to bed. I've done some editing on the podcast. I'm sitting on the couch. That's my Mando time. I'm sitting there, it's about 12:30. And that X-Wing goes past. And I just went, and I like left my chair and I just froze like this for about 5 minutes. I just couldn't, I was shaking. I was so excited. I couldn't believe it. And then can we do spoilers?
Yeah, just say it. If you haven't seen Mando, Luke Skywalker is in the last episode.
but then when R2-D2 comes out, it got me. Like I've never cried at anything Star Wars related.
Oh wow, man!
I had a tear trickle down my face. It was like revisiting old friends, and it gets back to our point of nostalgia. But I think the Mandalorians handled it well, where they bring in all these older characters, but it's also still feels fresh. It's just a little bit here and there,
I've said I really like that, because it's like Mando really feels like it's its own thing that happens to be happening in the Star Wars universe.
Yeah.
It's not like, I don't know. It's not like I really didn't like Solo, a Star Wars story.
You didn't?
Because,
Okay.
No, I didn't really like it, and it just felt like I don't know. I just feel like Mando, and I'm hoping all the other TV series are similar in that. Yeah, they just feel like this is a story that it's not to do with the Skywalkers. It just happens in the Star Wars world, which is a great world to kind of be in.
Yeah.
And then, but like that moment when Luke appears, it's funny because like it takes them so long between seeing the X-Wing and to actually him being revealed. Like you spend like 5 to 6 minutes being like, do you see it? Yeah. And they're like, hang on, that's an X-Wing. And then you see him with the hood on killing all the droids.
But you still didn't see his face. So I'm sitting there thinking in my head, I'm going, if this isn't Luke Skywalker, I'm canceling Disney Plus now.
Right? But so that's the thing. You kind of like the whole time you're like, it can't not be him, but they keep it, they tease it till the last possible moment, which I really like. And
I also love the score of Mandalorian. Can't remember the guy's name, but it's fantastic. I've got the complete season 1 on vinyl. It's so good.
Oh, cool. But like, as to what you were saying, like the fact that they didn't use Mark Hamill, like he didn't do any publicity about it leading up to it. It was just total surprise to everyone involved, which if you didn't skip this part of the podcast, it is now ruined for you, but that is your own problem. We made it very clear that we were going to spoil it. Oh, sorry. Were you going to say something?
No, you continue. You continue, sir.
I was going to go. Yeah, more curveballs. Bang. I was going to go back to finally come back to Duck Hunt and video games.
Oh, yeah.
If you want to go back to that.
Yeah,
but I'm happy for you to curveball, man. If you ever want to throw one out there, I'll swing it back.
At some point.
So the economy is down. Yeah. I don't know. So I don't know. So you said you don't really play new games anymore, which and then I said that really leans into you as a person, and that's how we ended up on that detour. Duck Hunt is just like, I don't know. It's such a classic choice of a game. Like, do you have all the light guns and stuff, and you shoot it at this? I've
got the original gun, the orange gun. I've got everything original. The thing is, though, I play it now and go, how did I ever find this challenging when I was a kid? Like, it's so easy.
I've never played Duck Hunt, but we had a PlayStation 1 and we had this game called Point Blank, which was
I've got that as well. Yeah.
Do you have Point Blank? Yeah, those were really fun, and you'd have to like shoot the screen, and it was just so immersive for its time, isn't it?
Well, I remember they used to have the big machines at Time Zone and things like that.
Yeah.
Like the big point. So I remember when my parents bought it for me for Christmas, I was like, Point Blank in my own house.
How is this possible? Yeah.
Exactly.
Do you know Super Smash Bros?
Yes, so I'm not a big Nintendo 64. I never owned a Nintendo 64, so I've only just recently gone back and started playing some of the games, like Super Mario, the original Super Mario on 64. I never played it till about 3 months ago.
Wow.
I was a PlayStation kid. Yeah.
Gotcha. Yeah. Well, I was just going to say, in Super Smash Bros, the latest 2 iterations of that, the Duck Hunt and the Duck Hunt dog and duck are a playable fighter.
Oh, wow. I know of the game. I know what it is. Yeah.
Oh, yeah. I should send you the trailer for it, because it's really cool, because all their attacks make it seem like someone is off screen shooting like the other players. So like the little red aimer comes and it shoots in different directions and stuff.
Does the dog giggle and everything?
Yeah, you can do the dog laugh, and the duck they're working together as a team. But yeah, I always thought that was one of the really creative fighter choices in that game, because it was such a legacy throwback.
See, my favorite fighting game was like Tekken 3. Remember that game on PlayStation?
I had it on PS1. How you could play as, I loved playing as is it the panda?
Kuma or something?
Kuma. Yeah. Loved that. Eddie is the guy who like just fights on his hand. Yeah. And then like Heihachi and all those guys.
He was the scary one. But apparently, if you clocked the arcade mode with, I think, the bear, you got a little orange dinosaur called Gon.
Yeah, Gon.
I got Gon. Do you remember he used to fart all the time?
I don't remember him farting, but I remember thinking it was a really strange character that you could unlock. Like, because he was like a foot
so small.
tall and all the other characters. Yeah. And then there
He
was
could
like
spin, that's about it.
yeah, there was, I think Gon was based on some Japanese, it was like a real Japanese anime character or something like that. Like
Well,
it was actually a
looks like the creature
promotional
from
thing.
Digimon. Okay.
Yeah, it does look a bit like a Digimon kind of thing. But what other games other than Tekken and Duck Hunt?
Oh, my thing was when I was a kid was Spyro and Crash Bandicoot, the two big ones. That's what I loved.
Oh.
Like Crash Bandicoot was my thing. I actually have a funny story. So Crash Bandicoot, I used to play a lot with my Uncle Peter, who passed away. It was in a car accident when I was like 12. But I used to play Crash Bandicoot all. Oh, that's right, man. I used to play Crash Bandicoot all the time with him. And then when he passed away, I got his copy of Crash Bandicoot because I never actually owned it.
Yeah.
I got the chipped copy that used to always jump and everything. And inside of it, a cover, because he was so good at it, he clocked it. And you get like this thing called like the super password when you finish the game, and it unlocks all the level. It unlocks the game 100%, all the gems, all the levels, blah blah blah. And he had written it down and put on a piece of paper and put it inside the cover. So that was like his last little gift to me, from the grave.
Wow. Yeah, like a little Easter egg kind of thing. He's like, type this in, see what happens. I don't know.
Yeah, exactly right.
I thought you were going to say you got banned from playing Crash Bandicoot because you just kept spinning into your sister or something like
Throwing
that.
apples at her.
Yeah, and Spyro's great as well. Actually, my last guest on Mike Talks, Alice Tovey, she said Spyro 3 was her favorite game of all time. So that's 2 Spyro fans in a row.
Yeah.
Have you played the new Crash Bandicoot or the remakes?
So I bought a PlayStation 4 just so I could play the revamped Crash Bandicoot.
Yeah. And how did you find it?
I loved it. I thought they did a really good job. It just felt like the original. The jumping mechanism's a little bit different. It just took a little bit of getting used to, but I thought all in all, they did a fantastic job. Same with Spyro, except I sort of felt Spyro is a lot more boring than Crash Bandicoot. It's just a lot of running around and headbutting things,
headbutting, getting some gems, and like. But the thing about Spyro is if you can't figure out how to do the puzzle they're doing, you just kind of like, I don't know.
Running around, what the fuck? Like,
and you get stuck, and then like you're missing like 2 gems, and you can't find them anywhere. So you're just like, I guess I'll just go to the next level. Like, it's so annoying.
Are you one of those people that has to finish at 100%? Like Nicola, my wife, if she's playing Sonic, she has to collect like every ring in the level, or she can't keep going.
I'm a huge completionist kind of person. In fact, there is a YouTube channel called The Completionist, which is his whole thing is I complete games 100%. So I always watch his videos.
Satisfying.
It's so satisfying, but like I'm currently playing this game on PS5, which is called Immortals Phoenix Rising, which is it's like a copy of Legend of Zelda Breath of the Wild, if you've heard of that.
Yeah.
It's basically just a copy of that. And I've been playing it for like 2 months because I'm trying to 100% it. And every time my housemates come in, they're just like, how are you still playing this game? You have been playing it for so long. How have you not finished? I'm like, I'm sorry, I have to. And now I'm like, it's taking so long. It's such a grind. But I'm like, but now I'm like 80% of the way there. I can't just stop now because that would waste all of the work that I've done.
But see, I used to be like that, but then because you can just go on YouTube now and watch, because I used to do it because I wanted to know, I wanted to see that final video if you'd completed the game 100%. But now that you can just go on YouTube and watch someone else do it, I'm just like,
yeah.
Why do I have to waste my life doing it?
Yeah. And then it does feel pretty cheap because you're not like solving the puzzles yourself. You're just watching someone do it and then copying what they're doing. Yeah. I don't know. I just get a kick out of seeing that I've done everything. It's just it's a really weird thing, I guess.
I've still got this set of Tarzos, the Simpsons ones when I was a kid, and there's 2 missing, and it still upsets me.
Oh, you should buy them off eBay, or are they like really expensive?
No, I know I could probably get it for like $1 each, but I just can't. I'll do it one day.
do it after this and send a photo.
Okay, I will do that. Yes.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Can we talk about the book that you and Mitch published, which is so cool? How did you? So for those who don't know, was it like it was probably 3 years ago now that you and Mitch published a book called Homer's Odyssey: An Embiggened Guide to the Simpsons? And,
2017. Yeah.
So was that something that you guys like set out to do, or did someone approach you to do it?
I'm pretty sure I was on holiday somewhere. I was away somewhere with Nicola, and Mitch just forwarded me this email saying, "Not sure if this is legit or not, but should we write back?" And it was a message from a guy named Hugh from Penguin Publishing. I went, well, he's got the little thing down the bottom that says Penguin Publishing. It looks like a serious email. I'm like, just what's the worst that can happen? Just write back. We're not paying him any money.
Scams are getting pretty good these days. It could be a scammer.
But they weren't asking for money. So I said, what's the worst that can happen? Just write back and say whatever. So Mitch wrote back, and
I've never heard it. I've never heard a scammer try to get someone to write a book as a
book
scam.
Deal.
Like usually it's like, hey, send me $5,000 and I can get the book publishing started. It's like, please write a book for me and we can get it published. That's the scam. Like, I don't know.
And saying that though, I remember once, I'll never forget, I was in the Perth airport, right? We're coming back from Perth. I got a text message from someone saying his name was Stuart, right? Saying, just read your Simpsons book. Absolutely loved it. Would you be interested in writing a second? And I went, okay. And it was an American number. I thought, oh, I'll just write back to it. Okay, sure, whatever. And I said, all right, cool. Write back to this email, and we'll go from there. So I did, and then now I'm getting emails and text messages from these fake spam book deal people for the last 3 years asking for money, saying, if you just give us this much money, we'll publish your book. And I'm like, what the hell?
We'll write it for you. We'll do everything for you. Just send us the money. We'll put a book out under your name. It might not be good, but we'll do it.
So they do it. But anyway, so he so Mitch wrote back, and this Hugh guy from Penguin Random House, he was a big fan of the podcast, and he saw that the Facebook page had, at the time, about 150,000 people, whatever. It's got about 250 now. But I think he just saw it as a good marketing avenue, So he just enjoyed the show, could tell that we kind of had our heads screwed on right. And he just asked if we could write a book from our perspective. So it wasn't just a review of The Simpsons. It was meant to be like a love letter to The Simpsons, what it was like growing up in the 90s watching The Simpsons. And I like the book. I mean, look, we've had nothing but good reviews for it. A couple of people sort of said they didn't like it, which is fine. It's not for everybody. But apparently they sold all their physical copies. I've
got one in my bookshelf right now. I'm looking at it just over there. Yeah, it's a great read.
I've got one in here somewhere too. Yeah. I haven't read it for a while, but I remember them saying that it sold really well. So they sent out all the copies. All the copies are out in stores. I don't think all the copies have been sold by the stores yet, but Penguin don't have any more sitting around, which is a good thing, I guess.
So I guess like when you start Four Finger Discount and you get 13 downloads on episode 1 and your co-host Mitch says, I don't want to do this anymore.
Crying.
At that point, are you like, nah, just keep going. We're going to do a book one day. I swear. Like, could you have ever foreseen that you would be a published author about like a fan Simpsons guide? Like,
I forget sometimes. Like I literally will go through a Dimmick sometimes and just see my name on a book and go, oh yeah.
Hang on a second.
I was literally shopping for Nicola. I was looking for a Friends book for Christmas.
Yeah. What's your Friends book?
No, I was looking for a Friends book for Nicola. I was just looking for my wife. Oh,
wait, what do you mean?
Did you say like? Oh, we didn't write it. I was just looking to buy one for Nicola. It's just like a fan's love letter to friends.
Oh, right. I thought you meant your friend wrote a book, and I was like, give him a plug on the show.
A Friends TV show book. Yes.
Gotcha.
So I'm in the TV show section. I went, The Simpsons donut. Pulled it out and went, that's my book.
That's amazing. You've forgotten that you wrote a book. I love that.
But that's not to be arrogant though. I just forget these things,
Yeah. And so obviously, I remember like missing the episode of your pod where Mitch announced that he was leaving, because I just remember listening to an episode and Mitch was like, as I announced a few weeks ago, this will be my last episode on the show, which was pretty sad because like for longtime listeners of your show, it like the Dando and Mitch, like you guys had a great chemistry. In fact, here's a funny story for you that you might like. When we at the start of 2020, when we were going into the third year of the Hamish and Andy podcast, I might have told you this before, I'm not sure, but we have this little team meeting where everyone talks about what they want the podcast to look like in 2020, and then Andy does this little questionnaire and it's like, what podcasts are you liking at the moment? And this guy Dave Cameron, I don't know if you know much about Hamish and Andy, but Grumpy Dave was this guy. Dave Cameron. Yep. So Dave Cameron was in the meeting and I was like, I really like, one of my favorite podcasts is this podcast called Four Finger Discount. It's these two guys from Geelong, Dando and Mitch, and they just do a Simpsons podcast where they review Simpsons episodes, like just episode by episode. They review them. And then Grumpy Dave, like who's, in charge of content across the entire company, is like, oh, that's a pretty interesting concept. Like it was like he just had never thought of the idea of a TV show related
Yeah.
podcast. And then Hamish was like, oh, there you go, Mike. Get Dave wants Dando and Mitch, get him in. And it was just like, yeah. So like you've been pitched in a Hamish and Andy meeting.
Wow.
Pretty
well,
cool.
actually, I would take you up on that offer. So but can I just ask you? So
yeah.
I'm like jealous of the success that you've had because you've earned it because you work hard, right?
Oh,
I mean,
man, I'm likewise jealous of your success, but thank you. That's really kind.
But I don't have success in the sense that it's my job. I mean, we have subscribers and stuff, but you've managed to turn it into a career. So I applaud you for that. But it's just like, you must pinch yourself sometimes when like literally the panelist for Hamish and Andy.
Well, I mean, yeah, I guess so. Like it is kind of the same as you, I suppose. Like how you said, like, you know, sometimes I see my book and I'm like, oh yeah, I wrote a book. Like it's kind of weird at times where I'm just like, oh, I guess now, because like I love Hamish and Andy probably as much as I loved The Simpsons growing up, right? Like that was like my thing. And now I'm like working on the show and like I pitch ideas and they get on air sometimes. And then people come up to me and say what you've just said. And I'm just like, oh yeah, like I guess this is just my life. Like I guess that this is my life. Like, I don't know. Thank you. That's really nice. But for me, it's sort of the same as you. You just kind of forget because you're so in it.
Yeah.
But yeah, man, I appreciate that.
What actually is your role for them?
For them, I'm the assistant producer on their podcast.
Okay.
And then so basically my main role is like they get tons and tons of fan interactions and listener emails and stuff. So I basically read all of those emails and, you know, essentially send them ones that I think are good and be like, hey, you should maybe get this guy on. And then they'll be like, yeah, get this guy. Don't worry about this guy. Get this person. And then I'll help facilitate that as well. So yeah, it's really fun. It's really, really good.
Do you like sign 8x10s for the children's hospital and stuff?
No.
Hamish
and Andy. Let's do a signature. No, they do sign all of those themselves. Why was I even telling that story again?
Which story?
About the meeting where I brought you guys up.
Because the partnership between Dando and Mitch.
Oh yeah. So then, yeah. So where I was going, Mitch left, and like Guy has joined, and like Guy is great. Like I'm loving the podcast. I'm loving Guy's input. Were you like worried? Were you worried at all when Mitch left? Like, did you? Yeah. Okay.
Well, I said back then, like I was worried because he sort of left at the time when people say The Simpsons gets bad as well. So it was like a double whammy. I thought, I don't know. I said, I really love doing the show. It's sort of like my outlet. You know, I don't get, now that I've got 2 kids, you know, work full time, I don't get that much time to myself. If that makes any sense.
Okay.
You know?
Yeah.
And being able to just come in here and just talk about The Simpsons, one of my big loves, and, you know, actually get paid to do it in a sense with subscribers and stuff. I mean,
yeah,
I absolutely love doing it. And I was worried that I didn't want that to be taken away. And Mitch didn't want that to be taken away either. So I was anxious as well when I said to Mitch, well, I know you want to leave, but do you mind if I find a replacement? And I felt, I didn't know how to approach him about that. And Mitch was fine. He's like, yeah, sure, go for it, blah, blah, blah. But I just sort of thought, well, they're either going to jump off and the show's going to be finished, or it's going to be fine. It's going to go one or two ways. It's not going to sort of just linger. It's going to either go straight down or just keep going fine. And thankfully, Guy's wealth of knowledge when it comes, because Guy Does, who does the show now, for your listeners, he used to be the movie reviewer for things like The Age and the Geelong Addy. And his father is iconic Geelong footballer Bob Davis.
If
you follow AFL football, you'll know who Bob Davis is. And yes, but because he's been in the movie review business for the last 30 plus years, he knows literally everything there is to know about movies and TV shows. So it's great going back, because what we're doing now is we're going back to the first episode, and every second week now is going to be a classic review of the first 10 seasons. When Guy wasn't on the show, and he's able to sort of explain references that even Mitch and myself didn't get at the time. You know, it's really great.
Yeah, and it's been really good. Obviously, you do Talking Seinfeld with Guy, and then Tales of Futurama is with Mitch, which I'm not sure if I can say this, but you said you're doing another bunch of episodes of the Futurama one with Mitch soon.
So basically that's going to start again as of next week. So we took with 2020, Mitch just wanted to get away for a while, you know, just take a break. You know, he'd been podcasting flat out every single week for 5 years. He needed a rest. So we took a break from the Tales of Futurama, but we did a review of The Simpsons last week with Mitch on board. And as of next week, Tales of Futurama is going to be returning on a bi-weekly basis.
Yeah, great. Do you have like 10 more minutes? Because I just got a couple more things I want to ask you.
Oh, as long as you want, dude.
Cool.
The kids are out there, so I'd rather stay in here.
Yeah. So on the notion of the kids, and I like, I'm 26 now, so I guess sometimes sometimes I think about whether like marriage and kids are a part of my future and whatnot, and I'm not sure whether they are, but I guess I wonder. How do you, because your son Elliot he must be 4 years old at least by now, surely.
He's 3 in July.
3 in July. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. So I guess he's probably still too young for you to be showing him and him understanding Simpsons or anything like that. But do you think about
he knows
that?
He doesn't understand the jokes, but he likes watching it and he knows all the character names. So I just did an unboxing because I do the Nerd Daddy YouTube channel with him. Have you seen Nerd Daddy?
I have. I really like it. And I love about it is you sometimes seem more excited about the toys you're unboxing than Elliot. And I love that. It's so good. But yeah, check out Nerd Daddy as well.
It's just I just get stuff from work and we just unbox them. It's just something. Basically, the reason I did it was I wanted a channel where I started when he was a baby. And as each video goes, he gets a little bit older and older and older. And so viewers can sort of watch him grow up with the show. And eventually I'll just give the channel to him. You know what I mean? Cool. But like the recent one we did was all the latest Simpsons pop vinyls, the Funko Pop vinyls. Nice. And he knows all the character names, because he watched the Simpsons with me. Yeah.
Yeah, great. So do you because sometimes I think like for me, a big one is Harry Potter. Like I love Harry Potter. It's one of my childhood things. And I think if I ever had kids and I showed them Harry, because basically what I'm trying to say is whenever I think of stuff my dad tries to show to me that he liked when he was young, I'm always just like,
I know where you're going. Yeah.
So are you worried that basically I'm like, if I showed my hypothetical kids Harry Potter, are they going to think it's this lame wizard thing my dad likes? Like, do you think Elliot or your new daughter as well, do you think they're going to think that The Simpsons and Seinfeld are really lame?
Well, I think I showed Elliot Star Wars a little bit too early. Because I put Star Wars on and he went, no Star Wars. And I was like, you are not my son. But I thought, no, you got a little bit too early. But now, I don't know what happened, but I think I could have got him some toys from work. I basically forced it onto him. Like, this is Yoda, this is R2-D2. And now he knows all the main characters. And now he loves the Lego version of Star Wars. It's on Disney Plus. But he loves Star Wars now. But Incredibles and Cars, my God, man. Just
I thought those
little
Pixar.
Cars, he loves it. Oh, anything Pixar, just loves it. I eat it up. It's crazy how when I was a kid, I loved Toy Story. I loved Toy Story. I watched it every night in bed. I had the VHS tape. Yeah. And Elliot now, 26 years later, he is obsessed with Toy Story. It's amazing how those Pixar films just never die.
They're timeless. Yeah. Well, this is how this is the big thing that I usually end all the chats with. So
now I'm nervous.
I actually think this is going to be really hard for you. So that's just a warning. So here is the question. What is one movie, album, book, and for you video game that you think everybody should watch, read, play, or listen to in their lifetime? So one of each, if you could.
So movie,
I know it's very hard.
TV show. So we won't say Simpsons because that's the easy one. What age demo are we talking about? Does that have to be a kid's show?
Well, no, because I always just put it to people as it doesn't even have to be your favorite. It's just one that you think everyone should watch. So any demographic for any reason.
Movie, the original Star Wars.
Yeah, episode 4.
Episode 4. I mean, episode 5 is my favorite, but episode 4 is more appealing to people of all ages and everyone.
And why do you say Star Wars?
I think Star Wars is something that it's just the classic story of good versus evil. Has a feel-good ending. There's no sort of blood and gore in it, except there's still action. So it's something you can watch with the kids as well. Yeah. I just think it just captivates the imagination. I love things that are creative, and Star Wars was just came out of nowhere. It was just so different. And that's what I admire about Star Wars. So Star Wars, A New Hope. TV show. Oh, if you're thinking just classic sitcom, I think Seinfeld. I think a lot of people didn't give Seinfeld a chance back in the day, particularly in Australia. And I was late to Seinfeld. I didn't watch it till I was in my early 20s. But I think Seinfeld is just one of the funniest shows on television because it is still just so relatable. I mean, George Costanza, we are all George Costanza to an extent. You know what I mean? I would recommend Seinfeld if you've never watched it before. It's not for everybody, but I think.
Funnily enough, on before when I was saying stuff my dad showed me, I always think is really shit. My dad loved Seinfeld, and that's maybe the only thing he showed me that I do think is amazing. Because all these other stuff is like, Columbo or something. There's all these weird old
Columbo,
shows. Yeah, my dad's obsessed with Columbo. He's always like, we should watch Columbo. Let's watch Columbo. I'm like, Dad, I don't fucking want to watch Columbo. It's shit.
It's probably got a kick-ass theme, is it? I feel like old school shows like Columbo and that had great theme songs.
Yeah,
because now in today's era, we all hit skip credits, so we don't listen to theme songs anymore. You know?
Yeah, no, totally. So book, album, and video game.
Album, I'm gonna go either Aha Shake Heartbreak by Kings of Leon.
Okay, nice.
Or can I say 3 albums?
Yeah, sure.
So Abbey Road's one of my favorite of all time. Aha Shake Heartbreak was got me through my teenage years. And Bad Out of Hell. What's that?
Oh, sorry, man. What is the single from the Kings of Leon album? Is that the Use Somebody album or like? No,
that's the one. This is their second album.
Okay, cool. Sure.
This is 2 albums before the Sex on Fire one.
Okay, cool, nice.
So so every song on that album I love. So Aha Shake Heartbreak, Kings of Leon.
Great.
And the album that my dad basically raised me on was Bad Out of Hell by Meatloaf. I know Meatloaf's gone off the rails now, but Bad Out of Hell, man, it's so fucking good for like an old school rock album.
That is very funny because Alice Tovey, who was my last guest, she's a comedian, said the exact same Meatloaf album, I believe.
Really?
So that is the only album to be named twice in this little segment. So that's really cool. And then finally,
Alice, was it?
Alice Tovey. She's
I feel like we'd be good friends.
Yeah, well, it sounds like it. She loves Spyro and Meatloaf, and she loves The Simpsons. She actually probably would really like you. And then finally, video game. Book and video game. Sorry, book and video game.
I'm not a big reader, man. Like, I don't read all that often, to be completely honest. But if you're a Simpsons fan, my Bible was that complete guide to The Simpsons. Do you remember that book?
Yeah, I do. Like
that. So that was that was literally my best friend when I was a kid. But video game, I think it's gonna be one that's simple, right? That everyone can just pick up and play. You don't want a difficult game. It's gonna be an old school game. Simpsons Hit and Run. I won't go Simpsons Hit and Run because that's the obvious one because I'm a Simpsons fan. But Simpsons Hit and Run's a game that I can still play today.
Yeah.
I think I love the original Sonic. That was my favorite when I was a kid. Sonic. Or do you ever remember this game here? Alex Kidd in Miracle World.
I do remember Alex Kidd, yes. Was that Sega Genesis? Is that what the console was?
Well, I had it on Sega Master System too.
Okay, cool. Yeah, I do remember Alex Kidd. That was a cool little,
But Crash Bandicoot, for me, I think is my favorite game of all time. So I'm going to say Crash Bandicoot.
The original Crash Bandicoot game?
The original Crash Bandicoot. I mean, if you want to play the new updated version, that's fine too, because it's pretty similar. But cool. The original Crash Bandicoot for its time was just so good.
Dando, this has been awesome, man. I hope we didn't go too over time. This was really fun. It was great to catch up. Can we please plug all Four Finger Discount podcast? Because you maybe do as many podcasts as me, mate. You're like, I reckon you do more podcasts than me. You have like 10.
Yeah, we have a lot. So if you do type Four Finger Discount into iTunes or into the podcast app, you'll get Four Finger Discount. Take it like a Mandalorian's now free. Cool. Talking Seinfeld was a Patreon exclusive. It's now available for free. Tales of Futurama, so it's Futurama podcast, obviously. We also have Patreon exclusive podcast, The Guy and Dando Show, where we just talk about whatever. With the Movie Guys, where we review movies and whatnot. We just did a review on Soul, the latest Pixar film, which I love.
Cool, man.
We have Talking Muppets coming up, and I'm about to launch the Friends podcast with my wife, Nicola, which should be
so
interesting.
Cool.
Yeah, the One About Friends podcast. Yeah.
Oh, amazing. And patreon.com/4fingerdiscount. There's so much bonus content in there. And can I just recommend to everyone, if there is a Simpsons episode you remember loving, go and find the Four Finger Discount review of it. Because even just the banter between you and Mitch is very good and really funny and entertaining all the time. The listener interactions you guys have are great. And it's just a great podcast. I always just if I don't know what to listen to, I'll just put on a Four Finger Discount because I know it'll just be a really fun time. And the best part is you put in little grabs from the show. So you get to relive the show, as I said, in that sense. So please go and listen to any of Dando's podcasts. Thank you so much for doing this, man. I really appreciate it.
Thanks for having me, sir.
But I went to run my hand through your hair and I noticed you were attached to string. You were a puppet this whole time, you were attached to string.